Hello, my name is Tatiana and I'm an artist. Today I'm going to be talking to you about something that happens to most of us, and that is having or getting or being in an art block. Okay, so I have been going through art blocks at some point throughout my whole artistic career. And there's been times when I've been very frustrated about them. And there have been other times when I've just been kind of like, okay, it happens. And what is it that I can do at this point? I went through an art block when I first came to Argentina. And to me, it was epic. I couldn't get over it. I couldn't function as a human. I know it sounds so dramatic, but that's what happened. At the time, I was like, oh God, I gotta do this. And I was very serious. I just couldn't do it. But I had to go back within myself and kind of say, okay, what is it that I do? Why am I having this art block? Identify the things that were making me have an art block. So I went through the process. And I've gone through the process, and maybe you're going through the process right now. And if that's the case, then today I'm going to give you 5 good tips as to how to get out of this whole art block, art getting stuck situation. All right, so let's get started. So tip number 1, visit a flea market or a thrift shop or anything that has old stuff in it. Because this whole thing is that I want you to be able to go and see that there were people that were creating things before you, before me, and that we're still creating things. And one of the reasons I specifically say a flea market is because a lot of times you can get ideas at flea markets. Maybe there's a way that someone used to do something, maybe it's a movement, maybe it's I don't know, like the way that books were written or books were drawn back then. So this is a way to find inspiration without only just sitting in front of a computer screen, and actually physically being able to visit, to look at items, to look at how products were, to maybe see like the different materials that they used, to see the different colors that were used. And I always like to do that because, first of all, I'm in love with things that are vintage, and I use things that are vintage, and I have like most of my life. But also because it's a good way to get out of your mind and into something that's physical. When you only look at things that are happening now, for instance, or when you go and you just get inspiration from things that are happening, that makes you inevitably work on things that already exist and that are already in vogue. And I'm not saying that there's anything bad with that, but I'm saying that by going into the past, you're perhaps able to bring your vision into something, and it can give you a catalyst. So it might work, and if it does, I'm very happy. And if it doesn't, then I suggest also tip number 2, which is to go to the library. Now, I'm not even sure that libraries are so much around, because I've been to a lot of places where libraries were non-existent or were smaller or were hard to get to, which I find sad. But if you do have access to a library, when was the last time that you actually went? So you have so many books at libraries that you, instead of having to order through Amazon or, to go and look at a video, going to see a physical book. I know that a lot of people have a hard time looking at books and sitting down and reading books nowadays, myself included. But if we're talking about perhaps going to see your favorite artist's work, but in physical form, not at a museum, but at a library where you can sit down for hours and just pour through different things and different books and different pictures and have an idea of what it is that maybe you're missing. Maybe in this case, you just need to get out of the house. Maybe you need to get out of the studio, and you don't have those resources at home. Maybe you don't have I keep saying at home, but in your studio. Maybe you don't have 12 books of that contain Dali's work, or maybe you don't have 5 books where you see old ways or you see vintage ways of doing illustrations. But going and physically being able to sit down, look at it, go through it, see different ways that people were doing things back then, it's always interesting. And it also can help you in order to be able to get inspiration. Number 3, invest in some self-care. Okay, so I'm talking about doing some yoga, going hiking, going on a spa day, going into nature, doing something that doesn't allow you to just, stay in the moment of I'm stuck, but of being able to get outside of that space of your head and being able to let go and accept and also enjoy and treat your body and your mind correctly with love, with care, not with how I do it when I get stuck sometimes, like, why are you stuck? No, you're just allowing yourself. You're outside. You're being nice. You're being like, you know what? Sometimes it happens, girl. Sometimes it happens, boy. Sometimes it happens, you. And that's fine. You don't have to stress that. You're going to draw again. You're going to paint again. You're going to. So if you're going through a time when you're stuck, it's okay. But sometimes when we are by ourselves, we make it worse. And so that's why I recommend going outside and actually going and doing something that you will like to do and you enjoy doing for yourself and taking care of yourself. Tip number 4 is to take a class online if you can, if you want to, but possibly in person. And I say in person because I think that sometimes when we are creatives, a lot of us work alone. And so we might work alone, then go and meet our friends and, be alone when we actually practice. But the thing is that we want to be able to also be with people. And I'm not saying that you have to take a class in what it is that you do. You might take a class, I don't know, if you are a painter, you might take a class in music. I'm currently, for instance, taking a class in ceramics, even though I'm an illustrator. But at the end, it ended up being that now I'm also a ceramicist because I love it so much. But I mean, that's a thing that could happen, right? Because we are creatives. And so you might want to expand your practice. And maybe during the time that you're stuck, going to take a class in something that you've wanted to do could be a way for you to also continue to create and to work and to produce in your own way, or, to let go of the fact that you're stuck and learning a new skill in the meantime, which you might use in the future when you get unstuck. And then the final way to get unstuck is my least favorite one, but it's the one that I think works the most. And it is to create work regardless, even if you find that it sucks. And the reason that I say this is because at the end of the day, if you're not creating the work, by the time you create work again, it's not that you will have lost your skills. Your skills will still be there, but you will have lost time. And if you're able to create bad work during this time, and of course the word bad is relative, right? It's personal. It's the word bad is subjective rather. If you're able to create what you deem as bad work or just as okay work, then in the end, you're not going to only create bad work for however long you're stuck. You're going to create something good out of it. You might create something that maybe you don't necessarily like it so much, but it's an idea that you like. You might be using different colors. You might be using different line weights. You might, whatever it is. But by the time you get back to being open to yourself and the work is back to how you like it, you will have continued to draw. There's a lot of writers especially that just write, even if it's just taking the time during the day, every day regardless, and creating the work that they create because they know that the practice in itself is something that is just as important as the outcome. And when you get stuck as an artist, I think that a lot of times we make it more dramatic than it is. I know I have, and that's okay. But at the same time, we still have to do the work. And so my 5th tip and final tip is to just continue to do the work. All right. Now, I don't know what you do in order to get unstuck, but please let me know in the comments because we can all use some help when we are stuck. If this video brought you any value at all, please continue to watch me and please like it and consider subscribing. Thank you so much for watching until the end, and I will see you next time. All right, bye.